Good morning. Welcome to another D-Link webinar. We're here today to talk through the M2M solution range that we've recently launched here in the UK. My name's Alan Jones. You'll recognize me from past webinars. I'm the marketing manager over here. And with me today, I've got Phil Wang, who is our product expert when it comes to this area.
Hello.
And then we've got our sales manager over here, Mark Carty, who is responsible for a lot of the sales in this area. So I am surrounded by M2M knowledge. So what is M2M? So basically M2M stands for machine to machine. And as I said, D-Link has recently launched a range of routers and gateways in this area. So we're going to do a quick tour through each of those and talk about each one individually. And then we've got a few successful case studies at the end to whiz through, as well as a brief section on DEX. And we'll talk about that when we get there. DEX is the management platform that you can use to manage all of the devices in this area. So if I skip over to the first slide here, this is a basic summary of everything, and then I can hand over to the two experts to have just a quick overview of the range before we move into the looking at each individual section. Yeah. So, I think, Phil.
One thing to highlight or to mention is that the key difference between these industrial M2M mobile routers compared to your normal home routers is that they are designed to work in a harsher environment. So they do come with rust-proof metal housing, a much wider temperature range, operational temperature range, as well as various different connectors that are more suitable for the different applications that they're designed for. So you can see on screen here the three main ranges that we have: DWM, DOM, and DTM series. They cater for slightly different scenarios where we will go into a bit more detail in the subsequent slides. But I think you can see just even with the information given on screen.
We've pretty much got all bases covered when it comes to offices, buildings, industry, and we'll get into that kind of stuff. But yeah, Phil's right to point out the industrialized nature of these, which makes them suitable for roadside cabinets, freezers, all those kind of things where they're open to the elements. If we move on to the next slide, just looking at some of the models in a little bit more detail. Mark, why don't you come in here and give us a little bit of a quick tour of some of the functionality that comes with our products?
Yeah, so within the M2M portfolio, especially some of the DTMs, DWM products, some of them have multi-SIM design, so we can get two carrier networks live within the product. So you could have one, for example, from EE and one from Vodafone, and they can act as a backup to each other. As Phil was touched on, they've got an industrial grade on them. So what this means, slightly better ruggedized products designed to withstand the shock, vibration, work in a wider temperature range. We've got a remote management platform, something called DEX in the portfolio. And this will allow you to do status checks on the devices, make sure that they're up and running, and give you a bit more management, a bit more insight of what the devices are doing. Some of the devices have Wi-Fi, so you can use this to connect a device or a computer or something to it and provide a small Wi-Fi bubble to the M2M devices.
Yeah. And then you've got VPNs and GPSs. I think VPNs are on pretty much every model here, and the GPS is model dependent. So you'll find the GPS in more like the transit gateways as opposed to some of the other ones. So
I mean, VPN function on these devices is actually very, very important because it ensures that your network stays secure.
100%.
It's not going through a public network as such.
Yeah, especially if you've got a production conveyor belt going, you don't want to get hacked. You don't want to be open to the elements there. So yeah, so looking at each model here in in a little bit more details, there's a little bit more detail on what range has what in it. So you can see there, as I mentioned, the DTMs have GPS, which makes them suitable for telematics, fleet management, transportation. And then we've got the DOM, the gateway. So these are the IoT products, and they have both the 4G, 5G, and the Ethernet available on them, which makes them for industry, smart energy, smart buildings, good for access control, as we talked about in our previous video. That's the range that would be great for that. And then if we just look quickly here, we've got the DWMs. We won't go into this because the very next slide is going into the DWMs on a little bit more detail, but you can see there they're divided into 3 sections: M2M routers, M2M PoE modems, and M2M modems. And if we skip through, we will start with the M2M modem series. So Phil is dying to come in here.
So, I mean, we do have quite a clear range of products here, where you have devices with 1 Ethernet port or 4 Ethernet port in both the 4G and 5G variations. So,
sorry, Phil, that's the difference between the 311 and the 314.
Yeah.
Right. So the 311 is
one port,
1 Ethernet port, and the 314 is 4 Ethernet ports.
And then with the model numbers with G at the end, it's 5G. I do believe the 5G models do also come with I think 2.5 gig Ethernet port on.
Yes.
To support the throughput. But these DWM devices, they are designed to provide a cost-effective, simple solution to get any machine connected to the mobile network.
Sure.
So I think in the subsequent slide there are some
quick examples there. So we've got the example there of EV charging, which is a big usage for this sort of area. So attaching our modem to EV chargers that allows the EV chargers to be managed through a constant 4G or 5G signal, so they can be updated, so that the person who's in charge of the EV charging park can turn them on or turn them off, or increase the load at certain times and decrease the load. So that's
just so they can report back to a central source. So as Adam was stating there, for things like status checks, but also for billing. To connect the EV chargers to a payment gateway, so it can confirm that the user of the vehicle can pay, that the device accepts payment. If you use a Wi-Fi variant on there, the person could connect their car whilst they're sort of charging with the entertainment system. So these type of devices are really handy, really good at providing an internet connection where a traditional connection may be difficult. Especially as things like roadside connectivity is very low in the UK. Things like service stations are sort of having to expand their charging zones, and this is an effective way. It's more than likely cheaper than digging up an entire road. A couple of these in, and you pop one of our IoT routers in there, and it would save money against digging up a road and putting a fiber cable or an armored Ethernet cable in there. Yeah,
and the second example, just the enterprise there, just using this product as a backup WAN. So if your broadband goes down, you can connect these, because they're modems, you can connect them up to a router, and let the router broadcast the wireless signal across the office. So a good sort of backup solution, a more ruggedized industrial sort of backup system.
Because of the design, obviously it's not only useful for offices, it's more than adequate for factories and warehouses as well.
It's much more suitable than a normal 4G router for those kind of environments. So the second group is first group expanded, but these models carry the PoE option, and PoE obviously stands for Power over Ethernet, which, if anybody's joined any of our past webinars well knows by now. And these 4 models carry PoE, and the beauty of these is that they can be used to power cameras. So if you're in an industrial park, you can connect a camera up and power it through the unit. Or in the case of an access point, you could connect an access point here, and because they're modems, you can use an access point to broadcast the signal. So brilliant for an outdoor event per se. So you could use this to broadcast Wi-Fi to a small festival in a park or somewhere along those lines.
And because more and more devices are, supporting PoE, you can see already also on screen things like digital signage kiosks and POSs. If you do have these type of equipment, they can be connected and powered through a single cable on these industrial mobile PoE modem routers.
Yeah. And just a quick example there. So you've got your connection on the first unit there to the access point. So the 4G, 5G signal is being used in this sort of pop-up shop/office environment, and the access point is broadcasting a wireless signal that's allowing the workers to use. And then you got the second example there in the park. Of the PoE modem being outside, and then you've got a camera being connected to it, which is obviously monitoring the park and keeping the people safe. And you've got an access point on top there broadcasting a Wi-Fi signal, a public Wi-Fi signal that people can use.
I think the bottom example is actually it can expand quite a lot because you do have requirements for surveillance in very remote areas, and by being able to use a single device to get a mobile connectivity as well as powering a camera allows surveillance in places such as forests or hard to reach areas where you could be trying to
a long way away from a power supply unit, ostensibly. So okay. The next set are the M2M routers. So just the 3 models in this series here. Pardon me. So the DWM313 is our most popular router here. It's the one that we've had for the longest, and then we've got more the bigger units towards the bottom there. So you've got the 530T and the 550G. We're going to see examples of where those 2 bigger units have been used in the examples section, which will come up at the end here. But you guys got anything to say about these models?
Yeah, the main difference between these and the one previously, the DWM 530T, they come with Wi-Fi built in, so it is possible to use that device to not just to connect to the mobile internet, but also to rebroadcast that internet connection with Wi-Fi connection.
Which is why it makes them more suitable for some of the examples we used on that first page, as well as here. I mean, pretty much all of our examples are useful within a warehouse, but you could have done the previous example and had the one of the PoE enabled versions and connect an access point, or with these models you can just buy the DOM itself and have that provide wireless to your warehouse. We've got it there in an agricultural environment, and also a model there for traffic management, once again using that to provide wireless kind of outside. So three great examples there of where these models can be used. And then we'll move on to the 5G transit gateways. So these ones are more designed and have more sort of specialist operations for them, more specialist functionality, should I say, such as GPS, for instance. So keeping a track on a bus, or keeping track on trains, or knowing exactly where you are in traffic, things like that, as well as fleet management, things like that.
So just add quickly, you can see the bottom unit, the DTM 570 GS. It does come with the more, again, even more ruggedized M12 connectors, which can be moisture and dust proofed for even harsher environments.
Right.
But the devices, as Alan mentioned, they can, with the built-in GPS, they can be used for fleet tracking, and I think both of the devices also provide Wi-Fi connectivity, so that, for example, if they were deployed on buses or trains, they can give additional Wi-Fi connection to the passengers on board.
Yeah, when we did the example of this when we filmed previously, we had the DTM with all of the aerials connected. And it's quite impressive because it's got about six antennas on the back. Some of them for GPS, some of them to provide Wi-Fi, some of them just to bring in the internal signals. So you're seeing them there without the antennas, but when they've got the antennas, they're impressive units. So yeah, okay. And then if we have a quick look at the example there, we've got, as we said, like mainly for transit there, and so we've got the example of fleet management for a truck, and in this case, you've connected the product up to a camera, so the camera's monitoring the stock in the back of the truck there. Second example on the bus, we kind of talked about that previously. So with a bus, for instance, a GPS, most bus signals now, you'll go to a bus stop and it will tell you that the number 52 bus is 3 minutes away. That can be powered by the GPS on these sort of units, so you can keep track. And then you've got the rail example there, but they've used as Phil said, the even more ruggedized version from the rail, because it would be subject to higher speeds, more dust, more throughput, more
a lot of shock and vibration from the carriages
exactly
moving, and also
from moving. If you've been on the underground, bump, you would definitely upgrade to
I think one thing we're also forgetting with road transit, especially for things like insurance purposes. So more and more vehicles have got telematics to say how the driver is performing, if they're going too quick, too slow. A lot of larger buses have cameras, front, near side, passenger side, cameras all around it to see how they're driving. And that can help for things like insurance, to ensure that the driver is not at fault if there is an accident or some sort of incident. But then also within the bus as well, so capturing people that are being abusive, misbehaving towards staff, or damaging property and things like that. So these devices, yes, great for connectivity for things like basic telematics. But then we're in an age where CCTV needs to be installed pretty much everywhere, and adding it to things like the outside of a vehicle, or with inside a train to monitor the passengers as well, is quite helpful. Could be a first line of defense essentially for the staff that work there.
Yeah, 100%. It's more and more of an issue, isn't it, with employees being abused and having video evidence. It makes it much easier. Use cases. So as we said, as we said before, it's kind of great to move through each of the models, but I think the meat of this is the actual use cases, and that's the kind of information that we can provide to you guys, is to give you actual examples of the bits that we've talked through, where these products are applicable, and where we've got existing use cases of success stories. So if we start with the very first one, the DWM 311, one of our M2M modems. As Phil was talking about digital signage, and we were just talking about bus stops, it seems like a good place to start with this. So in Taiwan, the DWM 311 was used to provide the bus information, add updates on digital signage, to enhance the consumer experience there. So you can see there, that's not an actual picture. Just to let you guys know, that's not an actual picture. That's just a mock-up of the device in use there. So basically, feeding back to the bus's control center, the transport depot. connecting up to the 311 and then providing the services as per the case study on there. So
just to add, I mean, on top of just the simple information about when what bus is coming, I think we also know that when people are waiting, it's a very good opportunity for business, for the bus stop to serve up advertising. So
make you hungry.
having that connectivity, that's also broadens the opportunity and possibility to have a more
well, it's real time, isn't it? So
sponsored advertising.
So at 12 o'clock you can have a certain fast food chain show up their advertising. So so it's real time updated. As we spoke about EV charging stations, so there's a real example again from Taiwan, where they've used the DWM 530T model, which we talked about. So that's basically using the onboard PoE to power a camera, which is watching over the EV charging station, and the DWM is stationed inside the unit there, which is providing 4G to each of the charging stations to make sure that they're updated and optimizing the operations of them.
So on this, because the 4 ports built in allows you to at least connect to four charging stations, but I think if you need to expand this, you can easily basically add switches to the cabinet itself. The DWM 530T does also have Wi-Fi built in. So as Alan mentioned, the Wi-Fi connectivity does allow you to also connect to additional devices, which could be things like cameras or other sensors and equipment that you might be needing at the charging station.
Yeah, perfect. Next example, digital signage in the supermarket. So this is top supermarket in Thailand, and it's quite a big install for D-Link. So what they took was the DWM 313, and then that is being managed via DEX. So if I go on to the next slide, there's a little bit more detail on this. So they wanted to modernize the signage around the stores, linking it into the sort of national database, and having the 313 allowed them to be able to have that updated and to provide the latest sort of information on for their customer base. So
I think one thing good about this is that once all the devices are connected and managed centrally, then the supermarket then have the ability to roll out the promotions that are nationwide very easily and controlled centrally without the individual stores having to have additional personnel to have to change and update the signs within the store itself.
Yeah, and it can all be managed from one simple account. So somebody at HQ for the supermarket branch could manage all of the signage across all of the stores at the same time.
Click of the button.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it.
As long as the 4G connection or the 5G connection takes to upload and download the information, and you could have it on instantly, spread towards the 230 odd stores.
Yeah, and the beauty for the customers is the customers can be kept up to date with the latest information, any flash promos, a directory of the store, so they can find themselves a way around. Somebody who's been in a top supermarket myself, I can attest they're fairly large supermarkets. So sometimes finding goods is quite difficult in there. So that's a great example there. Again, another one just to follow up on that one. This was a similar sort of example in a retail environment, but using a different router, the DWM 530T, which has the wireless built in. So unlike the 313. So this one relied more on security and VPNs. So this was more of a security sort of example, I think, for this case.
Yeah, and also on this, you can see on the right-hand side the topology. The device itself is used as a WAN backup to the fixed line broadline and
Yeah.
broadband. And therefore, if just ensure that business stays as usual if the broadband goes down.
Yeah, because obviously accessing prices, and now that everything's online, if your internet goes down, it's a big issue.
Not just that, I think nowadays a lot of supermarkets also have these click and collect orders.
True,
So
yeah.
in order to make sure your customer service is good, you do. Stores are more and more reliant on staying connected in order to fulfill customer requirements.
Yeah, 100%. CCOM. So CCOM is a security example here, where they have, again, I did say it was our most popular M2M product, the DWM 313. So basically, again, this was mainly about integrating a security solution into their control centers. And what they were basically doing with the product was real-time monitoring, verifying alerts to do with temperature, humidity, water pressure, and that before they would send a patrol into site. So basically, the monitoring system was saving a lot of footprint from the staff. So rather than sending the security guard, they would be using the DWM 313 to actively monitor the scene, to check the fluctuations, and then, if the need be, they would be sending a person in afterwards to follow up. So the 313 was providing the mobile connection for a lot of different devices on the map there, such as fire alarm panels and fire alarm panels and cameras. Sorry, yeah, cameras. So
even though it's not used in this particular case study, what we mentioned earlier, the DOM IoT gateways in this, in a similar scenario, could also be very, very useful, because those IoT gateways come with RS-232 and 485 connectors, as well as digital I/O and analog input, and these are very, very, they can be connected to sensors and controls that are very relevant in these type of monitoring scenarios, where they can be connected to Alan said, smoke detectors, light sensors, sound sensors, and so on.
Yeah. That's coming up in an example that we've got a bit later on, because one of the case studies purchase a product where we actually have a product that would have done more for them, but they had the GPS side of it already, so there was two different solutions for them. But yeah, Phil's right to point out that whilst the DWM 313 was deemed okay for this, that's probably because CCOM had these existing products already, but the DOM products could have provided additional functionality for people who don't have all of those products, first of all. And there is an example for the DOM that Phil was just mentioning. So, but it's keen to point out here that this model isn't the model that we'd recommend now, because now we have the DTM 550G, which would be a better model for this one moving forward. But this is a great example for us, because it's different to all the others, in that this is being used to monitor weather across Singapore. So basically, this product was to focus on high impact weather, so sort of extreme rainfall and wind across Singapore, analysing local thunderstorms, monsoons, and high intensity rainfall, allowing the local people to better plan and make those arrangements as necessary across Singapore. So a great example for us there. Okay. Another one for the DOM, this time the 311 TSO is remote sensing for flood monitoring. So I think you can really see here that we've got a real wide range of case studies going on. We've moved from transport to supermarkets all the way out now to sort of weather and flood prevention. Yeah, in this case, they're using in a sort of industrial water level sensor to monitor river levels so that they can avoid unexpected flooding. So
I think, in the current climate change scenario that the world is experiencing, devices like this will become more and more important because having a first sensor closer to higher up in the mountain to detect any abnormal water level changes will at least give people a much better chance of getting to higher grounds or moving away from riversides further down the river in order to prevent.
And it's for the early warning system, isn't it, to try and save lives.
And I think even nowadays it's something that's occurring more and more as we see on the news.
Yeah, I think I need to talk to my local council because we still have a couple of men come and measure the River Thames down by where I live with a stick. They just stick a stick in and they monitor it like that from the last time they did it. So they definitely should be investing in a product like this to manage that for them, and they can control that all from a safe office somewhere. The Thailand MRT. So once again, this is a DOM model. This time the DOM 550G. The requirements that we got from this model was for high-speed video transmission, so slightly different to the examples that we've had before, hence the need for 5G to come in and replace the 4G gateway. If I scroll to the next slide, we can see the topology there of the of exactly what they did. Monitoring by camera, but if I scroll to the next slide, it's just a little bit more detail on the product there. So this was the key route of Taipei to Taiyuan Airport, which I apologize if I've mispronounced. But it was only opened 8 years ago. It has 23 million million visitors, and 55 express vehicles, but it was about time they upgraded to 5G from 4G to make sure that video transmission was better.
Let me jump in on this because I was on this very recently. So before this metro line was built to connect basically the main international airport in Taiwan to the capital city Taipei. It was not that easy. You don't have to catch a bus to transfer you to the high-speed rail station in order to go to Taipei, or you have to take a taxi. It was expensive. But when they added this metro line directly from the city center to Taiwan Airport, it provided a very, very cheap mode of transport, very fast, and it's amazing. It's because as soon as you land in Taiwan, you're effectively being
shuttled
provide the internet connection, free internet connection through a dealing device, and then even with this metro station, you can get to the high-speed railway station in Taoyuan, which then gives you incredible access to the rest of the island via the high-speed rail, and that's also connected by D-Link industrial mobile routers as well.
The next example, this example is the one that I mentioned briefly earlier. So this is the example for SOCAR, where they use the DWM 313 and our DEX management platform to manage them. And the reason that we mention this one is if you can see the topology on the right there of the truck, you can see that they use the 313 to provide the 4G, and the dash cam in the truck already came with GPS. Otherwise, they could have used one of our dedicated transit gateways, which would have provided the GPS for them, but they already had the GPS in play here. So you've got the two options. If your camera already has GPS built in, you can take the less expensive option of the DWM 313, or if they don't have GPS built into them, then you can look at upgrading to the transit transit gateways. So this was SoCar, which is a Korean car sharing specialist, which recently expanded into Thailand and Malaysia. They offer hourly, daily, weekly rentals. And what they wanted to do was minimize what their mission statement is to minimize car ownership and reduce the ecological impact of them. So we installed DWM 313s on key vehicles and tracked them with the DEX Edge Cloud solution, which allowed them to be managed from head office. And it provided them with driver protection, fleet location monitoring, all the kind of things that we've talked through earlier, and streamlined the management platform for them, so it could just be managed from that head office. So a very flexible example for SoCar. Okay. That's it for all the case studies. But as I said at the start, we've mentioned DEX a few times. We're not going to go into DEX too much on today's webinar, but what we're going to do is there will be a video up on the YouTube channel, which is a 15-minute demo from Steve Reddy, who's our UK pre-sales guy. And he gives a great deep dive into the platform, how to use it, how to add devices, and just shows how simple it is. So what we'd advise is you have a quick look at that. And then if you are interested in having to go on DEX yourself, jump on, because there's a free demo platform. So once you watch Steve will show you how to do everything. You can jump on and have a play with it yourself there. What the slide doesn't mention as well is that if you are an existing D-Link M2M customer, we currently do have a 90-day free trial with DEX. So you can sign up for that and start managing your existing D-Link M2M products on DEX. Or if not, you can drop us an email, UKI-sales@dlink.com, and you can speak to Mark, who can sort you out with a personalized one-to-one demo. Yeah, maybe Steve on board.
Happy to point you in the right direction and help. So if there is any questions on the platform or any of the products that you see here, and you want a little bit more information, or to see if it's the right fit for you guys, myself and the team are happy to have that conversation, and feel free to contact us on the details that are coming up on screen. We're more than happy to talk to you. We're happy to get involved, and we're happy to help where we can.
Yeah. So if you do need any more details, eu.dlink.com is our main website, and there is a dedicated industrial section. So you can click on there. You can have a look at the M2M products, have a look at each one in more detail. And there is also a dedicated DEX page where you can go, you can sign up. The one thing that I will just add to that as well is any person who is considering an M2M installation, anybody who's currently selling these products, we're more than happy to sort you out with a piece of loan equipment. Again, Mark is the man for that. So come through to us, UKI-sales@dlink.com, mention you're interested in a loan equipment, and we'll get that out to you and get you up and running, and then you can utilize that free 90 days on DEX to manage and see everything in its full glory.
One last thing to add to this, because we're talking about industrial mobile routers. In case you're not aware, D-Link also has a extensive range of industrial switches that provide the additional wide connectivity on the end of this device. Again, you can find out more at eu.dlink.com.
Yep, new range is being launched soon as well. So we'll be back in probably a couple of months to talk about that new range of switches up and coming. So just remains for me to say thank you for everybody for joining us today. Slightly shorter than usual. We're coming in under an hour for about the first time, so that'll be great for everyone. I do will stress to go over to the YouTube channel, watch the DEX demo if you are at all interested. We'll be back doing another webinar in about 3 weeks' time. We'll be back talking about our upcoming 5G products. So look out for an invite from myself either via email or on the social media space. We've got some really, really cool and exciting new 5G products coming up very, very soon. So watch this space for those. So all that remains is for me to say thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you again next time.
We're off, right?